Hello and welcome to Defense Diaries. I am your host, Bob Mata, and I'm waiting for my beautiful and brilliant co-host, Allie. She'll be here imminently. And tonight we're going to be digging into the Ellen Greenberg case, which, if you guys are not familiar with it, I'm going to kind of give you a quick rundown before we get to our amazing guest, Joel Waldman of Surviving the Survivor podcast fame. He's done it all. He's an Emmy-winning journalist. He is an author of Surviving the Survivor, which is an amazing book that he has out, which you should buy now. We'll drop it in the links, along with you subbing over to his channel. He's amazing. If I went through his full bio, we'd be here all night, and I only have him for an hour. So Joel's amazing. If you guys have not gone over to Surviving the Survivor, where their tagline is the best guess, he always has the best guess. I think tonight I have the best guess. So there you go. But let's talk a little bit about Ellen Greenberg. Now, I have not covered this case. There's been a huge push for justice for Ellen Greenberg, primarily through her parents. Oh, there she is. Hey, babe.
Hey, babe. Hey, y'all.
How you doing?
Good. Health today.
Yeah. Now I'm starting to. My voice is a little iffy. I think I'm in fear that I'm getting it. The illness that is all around our house. So I was just about to get into some of the basic facts and some of the controversy that surrounds the Ellen Greenberg case. So Ellen Greenberg was a 27-year-old first grade teacher at Juanita Park Academy in Philly, Pennsylvania, Allie's hometown, who died on January 26th of 2011. Her death has been the subject of significant controversy and legal battles due to conflicting official rulings and persistent questions raised by her family and independent experts. In terms of kind of the circumstances, it was January 26th of 2011. A blizzard had struck Philly, and if you've been in and around Philly, when they get dumped on, they get dumped on. Like they have
sure.
They do. It's
so great. She left school unexpectedly, right?
Yeah, because of the blizzard was looming and starting. So she did leave school early. She returns to her apartment at the Venice Loft, which are pretty luxe, pretty nice apartment condominiums over on Flat Rock Road. And she ends up being pronounced dead at 6:40 p.m. So how do they get there? They get there because she is discovered by her fiancé, a guy named Samuel Goldberg, who reports finding her dead in the kitchen of their shared apartment. He calls 911 at around 6:30, stating that he had returned from the gym, which was in the apartment down on the first floor, and that he found that the apartment door was locked. And they have one of those kind of swinging latches that you see most often at hotels, where you can close it so people can kind of open the door 2 inches, but you can't open the door all the way. That thing was engaged, and ultimately, now there's some controversy about what was originally stated and who stated it. He eventually ends up kicking the door open. He claims that he went down and spoke to whoever was working at the front desk down at the building, and that person came up with him. That's since been, I think, poo-pooed and proven that was not correct. He walks in. He reported seeing Ellen on the floor with blood everywhere and a knife in her chest. Now that write-up right there is not exactly right. One of the things we're going to do is I'm going to play the 911 call when we get Joel on here, because it's worth a listen.
Yeah, I thought she was seated or something. Joel will know. He's been following this very heavily. He's been raising awareness. He's been like, I was in Philadelphia and I either saw one of his lives or one of his tweets trying to get petition signed. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get my whole family to sign things. I was trying to, feed off of his excitement for trying to bring about change and his passion for
he's advocating hard.
Advocating very hard. And of course,
and
defense attorneys appreciate nothing more than hard advocating. I know you didn't even finish the story, but let's bring him on.
Let's bring him on. What's up, Joel? Thanks for coming.
Great to be here. Ned Smith, who, not to compete, but she's in my chat also. And I see her saying, I'm late because I'm makeup. I'll be late to my own funeral. Just for the record, I've been here.
Yes, he has.
Patiently waiting. And Bob, you're braver than me, because I would never out my wife for being late, because I know that I'm going to get tons of hate mail that I don't want to read. So but I got to say, before we get cracking, or as we get cracking here, I'm not I don't get passionate about a lot of things other than trolls annoying me sometimes. However, this case drives me absolutely insane. And I've said this publicly and I'll say it again. Every time we do this story, for whatever reason, we get low numbers. The worst comeback in podcasting is you're only doing it for the clicks. That's what we do it for. I was at Fox News. We don't try to get the worst ratings. You try to get the best ratings. Same at MSNBC. You want people to see your stories. So, that's super important. But for whatever reason, when I do Ellen Greenberg, the numbers are not good. And I don't care. I don't give a crap. I've gotten to know Josh and Sandee, the parents. In my opinion, this is a complete travesty of justice. And beyond that, I feel like there's corruption.
We haven't even told them the biggest part, because then we started talking about you and we're like, just bring him on. So people don't even know how outrageous it is. But before I let you tell them, I said the exact same words to Bob before we came on, like when I was running up to do whatever I was doing before I got on here. And I was like, this fucking case just drives me insane. So tell the people what what we haven't told them yet, what the whole controversy here is.
I mean, so the real kind of thing that gets everybody is this is a 27-year-old. She's engaged to a guy named Sam Goldberg, and then she dies and has 20 stab wounds, 10
in the back too, right? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, 10 in the front and 10 in the back, and some in the very far back. One thing people don't really talk about is she's got a 4 to 5 inch laceration on the top of her head. I heard you guys talking about the blood. Per Sam's 911 call, which I heard you're going to play, which is very interesting, if I may put it that way. Yes. And I'm talking with two defense attorneys in case I need my own attorney after this show. But she's on the floor. So when she's found, she has blood running this way. However, when she's actually found by law enforcement, she is propped up against the kitchen cabinets, which defies logic. Why would your blood run this way if you're up? Implying that
she's been on her back.
And he moved the body. Things were maybe staged. But there's a lot of, there's a lot wrong with this case from many different
so what angles. Does the medical examiner say about this originally?
All right, so again, you got to understand this goes back to 2011, which is now 14 years. And her parents have spent, Josh and Sandee, $800,000 of their own money. Now they filed eventually, after all this time, finally filed a civil lawsuit. The settlement was not disclosed, but it was going to be a jury trial, which is why I went up to Philly. And basically there were 3 defendants for the city of Philadelphia, and one of them was the original medical examiner. So that original medical examiner ruled it a homicide correctly, I think, in my opinion. And then It was switched to undetermined after a little bit of time. And then there was a closed door meeting that's not on the record. People still don't know about it, who exactly was there, but they do know that there was Philly police, prosecutors, and the medical examiner's office. And you're looking at the different markings on her body with a giant knife impaled. Impaled in her chest. I love it. Bob has his own COE and I have my COE, and we both get yelled at the same way. I love it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So long story short, after this closed door meeting, about 3 months later, it is reversed into ruling of an unaliving, a self-unaliving, if I may use that expression. I don't think anyone buys that. There are a few people who will say, yeah, sure.
I just don't understand how I have never, ever heard of something like that even being contemplated as a self-unaliving. And from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, the police treated it that way from the jump, right? I mean, did they have crime scene investigators? Did they have homicide detectives out? What did they do on scene?
This scene was never investigated. They sent some police out. Now, again, it was, as Bob alluded to, it wasn't just snow. It was a nor'easter. It was a couple of feet that were rolling in. Now, Ellen Greenberg is in the process of making a fruit salad, which isn't exactly what you would be doing if you were planning to self-unalive yourself. Something that has come up since then is that she also had bags on her bed as though she was packing to leave. Something that has come up since then is she had, on top of the stab wounds, at least 11 bruises on her body that are essentially deemed to be a result of DV. She had expressed a lot of she was not herself in the weeks leading up to it, and was putting it on work, and she was going to a therapist. The therapist has made it very clear that she was not in a self-unaliving stage. But friends said she was like disheveled. She just didn't appear happy. Now Gavin Fish, I have to give a shout out to. He's really been amazing on this story. He has his own YouTube channel. And he went through the autopsy photos, which I have a very hard time doing, but he looked at them, and he counted like 57 different wounds not related to the knife incident, including on her legs. So there's so much to throw out there. The last thing I'll say for now, and I'll let you guys jump in, is now Josh Greenberg, the father, there's also marks on her neck, and the father has publicly stated, Josh, that he believes she was strangled, and then these stab wounds were basically inflicted to make it look like something that it wasn't. And an independent pathologist agrees with him. But you got to keep in mind, this is someone that the Greenbergs hired, but he explains why, and it's pretty compelling. So, let
me ask you this: how? First of all, I don't understand if he's trying to make it look like something it's not. And we're talking about that she unalived herself. How in the hell does that look like that? And how did the police or the Emmy, what was ever their explanation for how those could have been self-inflicted wounds?
First of all, I have, law enforcement detectives, FBI guys on my show all the time. I've asked every single one, have you ever arrived on scene to a self-unaliving with this sort of situation, this many stab wounds? And across the board, no one has ever said yes. Or no, this is not a self-unalive.
Did they put something in their reports? Did they even come up with what they because I understand, obviously I don't need an explanation of what they think she did to herself in the front, but they're just like this is what they're saying.
Yeah, basically. Again, it was initially ruled a self-unaliving. Now, a very important piece of this, as I was saying, is finally, after all this time and having to go through all these hoops and hurdles and dealing with what I think is corruption in Philadelphia, and we'll get into why the governor may be involved too in a little bit, the current governor of the Commonwealth of PA. But she's stabbed all these times, within a very short amount of time, I don't remember exactly the window, but it's a very short amount of time relative to what it should have been, that they basically ruled this thing a homicide, but then they allow people in the scene. It's crazy. So Sam Goldberg has a cousin,
That's the
Camion
fiancé.
Schwartzman. The fiance has a cousin named Camion, and Camion has a father, like most people do, and his name is James Schwartzman. And James Schwartzman is a very prominent, powerful criminal defense attorney in Philadelphia. More powerful back then because he's a little up there. He's in his early 80s now, but in the prime or the tail end of the prime of his career. He was also a judge, like a part-time judge, and he had a lot of influence within the judicial and justice system in Philadelphia. Now, he was allowed into this scene and was allowed to take laptops, cell phones, and they literally called something called crime scene cleanup. That's the actual name of the company to clean up the scene.
It's unbelievable.
I just don't. I mean, there's nothing about. I mean, like if this was a Netflix show and you're watching, you're like, this is stupid. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Right. I'd be like, this is such a stupid story. Who's buying any of this? Who wrote this crap?
Yeah, it drives me crazy.
It was fiction, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But so he's very powerful. They let him take his, was it supposedly just like his electronics, or did they also take her electronics? And
as far as we know, it's his electronics. That's a great question. I've never even asked that. So I don't know, if she had stuff on there. I do know that it was like 48 hours later. They're like, Judge Schwartzman, do you mind returning that? And, he gave back the devices, but it's literally never been investigated. So we don't know. The reason we know some stuff is there's another player named Guy DeAndrea, who's a great guy, former homicide prosecutor in Philadelphia. And he was in the office at the time or shortly after the time of the death. And he was he found the file. This was like stuck somewhere. I mean, you guys would know this better than me, but I just picture it in a closet somewhere in the prosecutor's office, and he starts reading it and he finds out all this sort of crazy information. But just kind of rewinding to a couple of weeks ago. So I went up to Philadelphia. There was supposed to be this jury trial. And in the 11th hour, the city of Philadelphia, they were not going to be on trial, but 3 of their employees, including the medical examiner, were going to be tried in front of a jury. So literally the day the jury selection is ready, the city of Philadelphia's lawyers are like, no mas, we're going to settle. But 2 days prior to that, the original medical examiner, Dr. Marlon Osborne, who incidentally is now, of course, where I am in South Florida, where all the crazy stuff happens, he was actually the ME for the Parkland shooting. But he came out and said it is not a self-unaliving. That I put that in that report. He didn't explain why. He didn't say it was a homicide, but he said it is not a self-unaliving. And that was the moment that I think the pendulum really swung now in favor of the Greenbergs 14 years. I'm getting the chills. 14 years later.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine fighting for justice for one of your kids for that long? And
but
it's like
on something so obvious. That's what makes no sense. And it's not like, I mean, the medical examiner would say the depth of the injuries, this is not, something that someone can easily do. Now, you mentioned some DV, that the injuries were deemed being, I'm assuming, inflicted by her fiance. Does he have a criminal background? Were police called to the scene? Was there any reported history?
Not that I'm aware of. No. The short answer is no. But again, there's eyewitness accounts, which I guess in legal terms would be sort of hearsay. But her close friends.
I was going to ask that next, so go for it.
Yeah. I mean, her close friends say she essentially was looking for a way out. And what she was doing, it was like transference, I guess is a psychological term. But she was kind of transferring everything to the job. Like, I don't like my job. But again, there was apparently bags, and this according to her dad, the bags were packed, and I think there are some legal documents that show this as well. But she did have bags packed, which, as we all know, if this is a DV situation, that is the absolute most dangerous time when you're trying to leave. Now, as far as I know, Sam has no prior criminal record. I do know that he got married. He has 2 kids. He was a golf producer for like the Golf Channel. He lives in New York City, married. He's comes from comfort, and his wife is well off and basically is living his life. So it's kind of crazy. You know, he talked to CNN recently. We could talk about that, but there's this 911 call, and a lot of stuff is very.
Yeah, and I know Bob wants to get to the 911 call. Before we do, I just wanted to ask you, I understand they did no processing, so I guess that means no fingerprints, nothing. Do they even collect and have the knives in evidence? Is it going to be tested? Is anything happening, or he's living his life and nothing's going on?
Yeah. So, good question. That knife, I believe, as far as I know, they have it. So you see the 20 wound. It wasn't 20 knives. It looks like
Right,
sometimes
sorry,
like 20 knives are thrown. But there was talk recently. Independent pathologist believes that maybe 2 knives were used, which makes it even more curious because, like, why 2 knives? Some people have refuted that claim. But
it could be that he was trying to make it look like there were 2
correct intruders,
right? Because I don't know how, if your plan is to make it look like an unaliving, you stab somebody 20 times.
Yeah.
Well,
now
especially in the back of the head and the neck, like it's nonsensical.
I mean, how'd she get the laceration? Plus, another thing is, like, I don't know how this is even a stat. I don't want to know how this is a stat, but the vast majority, there are people who do self-unalive themselves with it by stabbing, once or twice. But when women do it, almost 100% of the time, they will do it naked. They don't do it through clothing. And she was fully clothed, which is another red flag. I mean, not as major, but
I don't know. The making of food, that is, to me, like, that solves the, like, all right. Clearly,
no one's starting to make fruit salad when they're planning on killing themselves or unaliving themselves. Like, that's just not a thing.
Yeah. And I see Mel Mack in the chat here. I always, since it's not my show, I don't pay as much attention as I should. But true. So there was an independent pathologist who then, like, went back and looked at everything and figured out that at least, they were saying for a long time too, but at least one of the wounds was inflicted post-mortem. So in English, that means after she was dead. And if you're dead, it's a little bit hard to stab yourself. So it gets even more curious. Now, Sam also changes his story. Like, he says that he was escorted by building security when he broke in, and Mr. Security Man said, "That's not true. I wasn't with him."
Right.
And Bob, you were talking about this latch. It's the latch you see in every hotel room, not like the thick one, the little swing latch.
Right.
And Gavin Fish on his podcast, it's impossible to break through that door and have the latch remain intact, which is
right. That's what I was going to say. I mean, the latch would have to come off from the other, be gone.
Yeah, 100%. Nothing adds up. Yeah.
Play that 911 call.
Well, let me ask you that, Joel. So in terms of when he claims that he burst through with, some people call a deadbolt, it's not a deadbolt. A deadbolt is a bolt that's inside the door. When you click it, it comes from inside the door and it goes into, the door jamb. This is, like Joel was saying, this is like every hotel has them. It's the thing where you can open the door.
Intruder latch. It's an intruder latch.
Right. So, but
yeah.
Like, make it clear for me in terms. So what condition was that in after he burst through the door? Are they saying that was, instead of that entire piece, because that's what you guys are saying, and that would have been ripped out of the wall?
Yeah.
So
it's basically intact, completely intact, with like what appears to be a screw loose, like, and the bottom, the bottom right or left corner of where the latch would be screwed into the door. So you just can't. I mean, it defies physics if that thing is actually latched shut to then believe this story from Sam that he breaks in.
Because I did a very quick Google search on how you can, like, those are easily put into place from being outside the door. Either way, it's like you could do it either way. It's not, like this isn't the type of lock that it's like impervious to being tampered with, so that you can make it look, because from his perspective, and I'm not saying that he did or didn't anything. I'm just saying hypothetically, if he was trying to stage it so it looked like that he had been locked out and there's no way for him to have been in there to have done it. What I'm saying is that a very just quick Google search, you'll see that there's many, many ways that you can engage that lock from being either outside,
from whoever the intruder is. I mean, we can just say like that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I know that they looked at in their super brief, it's not investigation, in their walkthrough was there was no the apartment is only accessible through the hallway and potentially through a back patio. There was snow, there was no footprint, so no one left as far as they know the apartment. Sam was allegedly in the gym at the time. They have him
art gyms, video cameras.
That's a good question. I think it is, but I don't know for sure. I'd have to. Gavin would know the answer to that for sure.
Yeah, I actually sat right next to Gavin at CrimeCon London, and we were talking quite a bit about the Ellen Greenberg case, and I told him then, which was last September, that I want to have him on, but I wanted to have you on right now because you're actively pissed off about this case, and I've seen it, so I figured you were the perfect guy. Plus, you're my friend, and I haven't had you on, and it was long overdue. All right, so let me
get you on.
Yeah, I know, man. Let me pull this 911 up. Let's give it a listen, and I want you all to listen carefully. It's very
remind me to tell you about CNN after this. His statement to CNN.
Okay. All right. Let's roll this.
Babe, if it's okay. I was gonna say we don't.
I've got it muted. That some of my tech was drooped.
I need everything out. I just walked to my apartment. My fiance's on the floor with blood everywhere.
What is the address?
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please come help now.
4601
Flat Rock Road.
Is this a house or apartment?
Oh no! Oh no! It's an apartment. Please hurry, please.
Where is she bleeding from?
I don't know. I can't tell.
So you have to calm yourself down in order to get you some help.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm looking at her right now.
All right. I'm going to pause it right there because the first problem is she's got a knife buried into the middle of her chest. How doesn't he know where she's bleeding from? Like that.
And she's on her back. She's on her back, according to all accounts. And she's got, again, it's got a 4 or 5 inch blade. It's not like a Swiss knife. It's CNN remind. But yeah, it's a large knife. Right.
Buried into her heart. So that's for me, that was the first what?
I can't see anything. There's nothing broken. She's bleeding. Ellie.
You don't know where she's bleeding from? Can't see where the blood's coming from?
I think her head. I think she hit her head, but it's everywhere.
Okay,
it's everywhere.
She might have fallen. Do you know what happened?
She may have slipped. There's blood on the table. Her face is a little purple.
Okay, hold on for rescue for her. Stay on the phone.
He's seeing her face.
I went downstairs to go work out. I came back up the door.
What the hell?
Oh my God. There's Daily Mail ads.
Yes. I'm upset. Defense Diaries has their sponsors.
Where's the latch? My fiance's inside. She wasn't answering. So after about a half hour, I decided to break it down. I see her now just on the floor with blood. She's not responding.
Okay,
wait for it.
Breathing? Look at her chest. I need you to calm down, and I need you to look at her chest. It's really.
I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way. Look at her chest. Is she flat on her back?
She's on her back. So I bring her.
Look at her chest and tell me if it's going up and down, up and down.
I don't see her moving.
Okay. Do you know how to do CPR?
I don't.
Okay, I can tell you what to do. Okay, until they get there. I want you to keep her flat on her.
God.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, okay.
Are you willing to do CPR with me over the phone until they get there?
I have to, right?
Okay, so get her flat on her back, bare her chest, okay? You want to rip her shirt off, okay? You need to kneel down by her side.
Oh, my God. Ellie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir, because you
Okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God. She stabbed herself.
Where?
Oh, my God.
Hold it.
Oh,
Stop
no, her
it.
leg's
Stop
sticking
the
out.
video or audio. Okay, so this is, I timed it. This is 2 minutes and 11 seconds into a call, roughly. And he goes, oh, my God, she stabbed herself. I mean,
She fell on a knife.
I am not a law enforcement officer, but I can tell you that you'd probably notice that. Also, you probably heard him say, the 911 operator says, did you do CPR? No. And he says, do I have to? I mean, Allie, how would you feel if you were taking your last breaths and you hear Bob saying to the operator, God forbid, do I have to perform CPR? It's a horrible question, and that's what happens. And then he gives an alibi. I don't know if we've heard that just now, and I'm sorry to.
He did right before that. He said, I went down to exercise and I came back up, and yeah.
No, but when he sees the knife, you'll see right now. Bob takes it back like 3 to 5 seconds. He'll have a reason. I mean, he'll know what happened. He says that she fell on the knife. Really? How do you know she fell on a knife? And who falls on a knife on their back with it sticking out of your chest? But
how do you fall on a knife where it impales you?
Where it's sticking up.
Right.
It's got a magnetic bottom that magnifies.
Oh, it's one of those knives. I see.
So whatever.
This is why I go crazy on this story.
Well, so here's my question for all Philadelphia law enforcement that may or may not have listened to this 911 call. How in good conscience can you not question this guy after you hear this? If you hear this guy he has her laying on the floor. I've heard different accounts that she was sitting up. Either way, this knife sticking out of her chest is completely evident. There's no way you're not seeing it. Like 2 minutes and 11 seconds into the call, and he's pretending as if now he's just seeing the knife. To me, it's inexplicable. It's inexplicable. Like if I were Josh and Sandee, I'd be losing my mind as well. I'd be like, are you kidding me right now? Like, what?
This is all supposition on our part. We're just giving our opinion. This is not fact.
It's all opinion.
I mean, this 911 is a fact.
Well, I know. I'm just saying that he's pretending that he just saw it. That's our.
By the way, I mean, Gavin, they did try they did try to. I'll say this: family members tried to silence Gavin. Using lawyerly, no offense to you two, lawyerly tactics, and it didn't work. But now you'll notice that it's eerily silent out there from that end. But yeah, this part about falling on the knife, again, you'll hear it in a second, but we can play it out.
All right, let's go.
Come off, it's a zipper.
Back up.
Oh my God, she stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell on a knife. Oh no, her knife's sticking out.
Her what?
There's a knife sticking out of her heart.
Oh, she stabbed herself?
I guess so. I don't know where she fell on it. I don't know.
Okay, well, don't touch it.
Okay, so I just let her down. Here now. I mean, what do I do?
No, I mean, you can't. If the knife is in her chest, it's going to be kind of hard for you to do CPR at this time.
Oh no.
I mean, you think this dispatcher is like, what? This guy's full of shit.
I mean, in all fairness, this dispatcher, I felt like she was like trying to get home to catch the end of the Eagles game at this point. She's like done.
Yeah, dude. But like when she says she's telling him to do the CPR, he says, "Oh, she's on her back." When he says that to her, she's got to be. I mean, she hears a million of these calls, right?
Yeah,
so,
by the way, I have a good friend. I'm not going to say his name, and he ran this by a current working FBI like deception expert, and the guy like within 2 seconds was like, "This call is completely, not based in reality." Let's put it that way.
At least that was one man's opinion.
Correct. Thank you, Allie.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Police with operator. 277.
Is someone coming here?
Yes, they are. You said 4601 Flat Rock, right?
Yes.
Okay, someone's on the way. And the knife is still inside?
Wait, so what?
The knife is still inside of her?
Yes, I didn't take it out.
Was it her chest or what area?
It's in her chest. It looks like it's right in her heart.
Okay, someone's on the way out there. Okay, just get.
Oh my God!
How old is she?
She's 27.
27. And there's no sign of life at all? Like,
No, please don't be. What?
Pinch her under her arm and tell me if she responds to pain.
Ellie. She's not, her hands are still warm. I don't know if that means, but there's blood everywhere. I mean.
I know, but you can't, and the knife is still inside of her. How far? Can you see how far it went in?
It looks pretty deep.
Okay.
It looks straight, and it's a long knife.
Don't touch anything. Yeah, don't touch anything. Okay.
I'm not touching anything. I can't believe this, though.
So wait, it was just you there with her?
We're the only ones here.
And she ran in the door. You said latched it shut.
No. I went downstairs to work out, and when I came back up, the door was latched.
Oh.
Like it was, it wasn't like it was, it was like locked from the inside, and I'm yelling. So I'm
was
yelling
your house
and
broken into?
No.
So there's no sign of a break-in?
No sign of a break-in at all. I mean, there will be when you get here because I had to break the latch, but to get in.
Okay, 4601.
So, I mean,
here's all I'm gonna say though: if someone is trying to make it look like something it's not, latching, how does he get out and latch the door anyway? Like, how does the latch ever get engaged? Or you're saying it's possible the latch was never engaged?
It's manipulable from the outside.
Oh, that's what Bob was talking about.
But if you are breaking in, like he alleges, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, it is physical, defies physics to break a door open like that lock open like that, and have it stay intact the way it was, which implies perhaps something was staged.
But it's odd that someone would, if the plan is to make it look like it was intruders, why latch the door in the first place? That
great question, very good question. My answer is if you like, I've listened to this call a lot of times. Again, like let's just think about this for 1 second. 2 minutes and 11 seconds. You've got your fiance who's on her back, according to him in his own call, with a big knife sticking out of the middle of her chest. And he says, oh my God. First he says she must have stabbed herself. How do you know that? So, right. I mean, this is the last thing that would run through my mind. Second of all, you fall on the knife. How do you fall on the knife? I mean, if you were on your stomach, maybe there's like a 1 in a million chance, maybe. But it's just not going to happen the way this happened. And my bigger point here, Allie, is, and I'm just stating an opinion here, in general, that if you make up or create a story, let's say I'm making up a story about XYZ, hard to keep facts straight if you are not telling the truth. So I think that might be what's
right. And it could also just be initial thinking is lock the door from the inside, and then it's evident that I wasn't in there before, like I didn't lock it because I was outside of it. So however it got locked, it wasn't me.
Okay, I'm about to show you how you do it. So, right, like what Joel was saying, you probably have if this was a heat of passion type thing, like if something had gone awry, because what it sounds like, they were both home. Okay, she left the school early. He was already home.
Yeah. By the way, Polly has a good comment, and I agree with it here. He tried to make it look like he was locked out at the time, so she must have done it.
That's
so
what I was. That's what I was saying. That either
that's
way,
what I'm getting to, like, so there, like when if it's a heat of passion type thing, and you're kind of running through a million different scenarios of how you're going to try to stage it, and if it starts with the wounds in the back of the head and the neck, and then he's like, oh my God, how am I, like, how do I fix this? And then he decides to do the chest thing. Another fact that's very important, she's preparing fruit salad, but the knife block is knocked over. Significant. Mm-hmm. That's an important little fact.
Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah. Because that shows somebody in a rush, not someone like contemplating doing something to themselves. That's
and like I imagine that Ellen Greenberg was probably a pretty fastidious person, pretty neat.
I have asked her dad; she's a neat freak. Yes,
right. And like if there's any truth to her stressing out a bit about giving first grade grades out, that she's a very A-type personality. So like in terms of, and you know, just like she's not going to knock over a knife block when she's preparing the fruit salad and then not pick it back up and put it back in its place. So that like there's that. But I mean, if he's to the point where we're like, all right, I'm gonna just have to do this, and I'm gonna bury the knife in her chest. And this is all hypothetical. I'm gonna repeat that. You know, then it makes the most sense if you're gonna try to switch it to the unaliving story, that this, which I think ultimately played a huge part in law enforcement's mind, and why, like this fact that this thing was engaged was a huge factor in them ruling this a suicide, an unaliving. And just so you know, as far as law enforcement goes, if something is ruled an unaliving,
even though she initially ruled it a homicide, but
the turnaround on that was very quick. So quick that they didn't do any kind of investigation, which ultimately, like I was kind of waiting to get to this in terms of what, like if it's ruled a homicide, which I think that it will be in the very near future, officially, which triggers an investigation by law enforcement. The question is, what's left?
I was asking, do they have the knife? Did they take pictures of the crime scene?
It was professionally cleaned. It wasn't processed.
I mean, before that, while they were there on scene.
This dude was never questioned by police.
No.
I mean, not even he was just never questioned. I mean, how is this possible? I mean,
Well, he never will be if he's got a defense attorney lawyer.
Yeah,
I want to see this video before we,
right, so
unless Joel, you had something you wanted to say right there. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I mean, let's go for it. Let's watch the video. I've always got something to say, I think.
Piece of string. Now, this is just a piece of garden twine, but really any durable string or twine will work as long as it's generally this size, give or take. But before I show you how this string is going to work, I kind of want to focus on the swing bar. Now, this technique works with most of these swing bars, provided that if I kind of focus in right here, you'll see that there's some notches here, and those notches kind of get in contact with a ball bearing that's on top and bottom of this swing bar, and you can see how it kind of locks the bar in place.
This is your understanding of the exact
ball
type of lock, Joel?
One there and one up here will help us open up this latch. So first I'm going to show this technique with the door open and the door unlocked, so it's a little easier to demonstrate.
Yeah, let's
so you take your string, and if you kind of loop it in between these two little bars here, and then bring it to the ball bearings. Let me zoom in here so you can see a little bit better.
But he's also going to show us how to lock
like
it
that,
from
and
the
you
outside.
can still see the ball bearing right here. Now, it's almost like dental floss. You're going to kind of floss it in between here until it slips below the ball bearing right there. And then you can kind of just freely slide it right there. And the ball bearing will help hold the string in place.
Can you pause it? Because I just
okay, so now you have two
for
ends of the string. One's closest to the door.
I'm sorry. And I just because I'm going to forget it and it's been driving me crazy. Why is it not possible that earlier she locked him out? He broke in.
Mm-hmm.
This happens. He leaves. He goes to the gym. He does his thing at the gym. Then he comes back up. Why is that a theory that's not being spoken about?
Wait, say your theory again.
Well, she's packing, right?
Right.
She's got him locked out before, but whatever happens when this whole unaliving happens. He breaks in. The unaliving happens. He leaves. He goes to the gym, does what he's doing in the gym, comes back up, and then pretends he had to break in on the way in. Why is that theory? And again, it's just a theory. It's just one of many possibilities. Why is that not being something seriously contemplated?
I absolutely contemplate that. Like all it is the fact of when the lock is engaged in terms of, because my concept, my theory could be that this happens sometime between 2 and 4 before he goes to the gym. And then in order to make it look
she left, right. What time did she leave work again?
She's home by 2. They are home together between 2 and 4.
Right.
He goes down to the gym around 4 o'clock, comes back up a half an hour later.
Yeah.
So like it's the same theory. The only part that I change is that he engages this from the outside in order to make it look like he was locked out runs down. Because if he really ran down and talked to security down there, and they're
If
like,
he did, right?
if he
right.
did, which I'm assuming if you're trying to build an alibi, you would do that, right? You're trying to get down. I'm going to go talk to this guy. He's like, hey, man, we can't really do anything about it. It's like when I was locked out of your parents' condo down the floor, I'm like, I go down there, like, can you guys help me? They're like, yeah, no. I'm like, hey, man, that's like, I'm trying to open the door. There's like something stopping me. He's like, yeah, we can't really do anything with it. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Try to kick the door? He's like, you got to call a locksmith. I'm like, what? I'm like, really? So, I'm like, this, I just got down to their condo down there. So whatever.
Wait, but for the reasons of testing the lock, I can't remember if you ended up kicking it in and then called the locksmith.
I called a locksmith.
Okay, so you couldn't kick it in. Right.
I kicked your parents' door.
Well, I couldn't remember what they told you to do. But
I mean,
again,
Allie, I think your theory is definitely plausible. I mean, I think there are probably a bunch of different theories, similar in nature, but I think that is very plausible. One important thing is I'm looking at the chat. It is important. Well before calling 911, he calls his uncle, the powerful judge.
What do you know what time of the day that was?
I don't, not off the top of my head. But he does call the uncle first, the powerful criminal defense attorney, and then we don't know what the. Yeah, go ahead. We don't know the conversation.
But the uncle is the one who either the uncle or his father calls the Greenbergs.
Mm-hmm.
That's
here's the thing. If there was a history of DV, if there was, okay, or why don't I just say, in a situation where a person has a history of being victimized, a victim of DV, and they are contemplating finally leaving to the point that their bags are out, you would bet your ass, if they have a latch door, they are latching it while they're packing their stuff and preparing to get out. To me, it now again, it is very important whether or not he went to security first, or that security came with him. He could have gone to security first, but if security doesn't come with him, then that could all be alibi. Like, oh, I just went up there. And
he says that security went with him, but then we find out that is not the case. Security,
and that's for sure as of now that no one went with him.
That's testimony from the security guard.
Right.
Okay.
Security guard's like, hey, I wasn't with him. By the way, there's also like a series of text messages, like one-way text messages right before. I'll just read them super quick. He goes, hello, open the door. What are you doing? I'm getting pissed. Hello, you better have an excuse. What the F? He says it. You have no idea. So it's like almost like he's alibying himself as an opinion.
What time is that?
I don't have the exact time, but I saw Julie Frews on top of everything. 6:14 is the call to the uncle.
6:14 is the call to the uncle.
Yeah, it's well before the 9.
What time was the 9?
He is in there for almost 30 minutes before he calls 911.
Shut up.
Yeah,
that's established.
That's a long time. Yeah, it's a long time.
All right, so I'm gonna run and get water. I'm gonna be listening.
You're gonna miss the lock.
No. I'm watching. I'm gonna pull it up on YouTube before I take off.
All right.
Door and one's away from the door. We're going to focus on the one away from the door. So kind of make this a little longer piece of string. And so you're going to take the end of the string here and then loop it.
I mean, and just so you know, you don't have to be a genius to Google this on YouTube. I mean, I did it.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. Just so, like I'm putting it out there for people that are like, what do you mean that lock was a gate? All right. So that's what we're showing.
In again, between these two bars. Now you're not going to bring it all the way out. You're going to make sure you have a loop of string on the other side. And then you're going to take it just like we did on the lower one, and you're going to floss it through the upper little ball bearing, just like this. So you're going to just kind of loop it there until it's on the upside of that upper ball bearing, and it'll hold that in place. So you're sort of kind of left with this loop on the back side of the door. So I went ahead and shut the door, and you can see the lock is essentially in place and will not open. Again, I'm doing this from the inside of the door just for demonstration purposes. So with it like this, you have your two ends of the string, which in reality would be on the opposite side of the door, but you want to open it up as far as you can. And here you can kind of stick your hand through and manipulate these strings. Now, what you want to do is take this little loop, and you don't want to kind of cross it like this. You want to keep it like this with the upper end on that ball bearing, the lower end on this, and you want to loop it over and catch the back side of this bar like this so it can hold in place. Not on this ball, but on the back side of the bar. And then you just want to take your two sides of the string and just tighten them up a little bit just like that so it holds in place nicely. And then you want to close the door, and as you close it, you kind of just want to tighten up these strings. And so when it's all the way shut, like this, and the bar is closed, from the opposite side of the door, you can pull the strings, one up, one down, and then suddenly the latch opens up.
Wow.
So next I'm going to do this from the opposite side of the door and show you how it works.
That's what we want to see. So, well, you may not know, do you know, does this, I know there was still shots of video of him leaving the gym.
Mhm.
Do you, are there cameras in these hallways of the
Apparently, yeah. But again, it wasn't properly investigated. So Gavin again would know this better than I, but they have him sort of pacing around in a very, my own opinion, suspicious manner. Couple of things, because I'm pressed for time. There's a couple of things I just want to make sure I get in, and I know you guys will take over with the door latch, but this is the CNN statement. I'm just gonna read it out loud super quick because I think it's important. When Ellen took her own life, it left me bewildered. This is a written statement that he gave to CNN after they did a huge piece on this. When Ellen took her own life, it left me bewildered. She was a wonderful and a kind person who had everything to live for. First of all, there's no 30-something-year-old or 40 who's like writing in this style, but when she died, a part of me died with her. Unimaginably, in the years that have passed, I've had to endure the unimaginable passing of my future wife and the pathetic and despicable attempts to desecrate my reputation and her privacy by creating a narrative that embraces lies, distortions, and falsehoods in order to avoid the truth. Mental illness is very real and has many victims. I hope and pray that you never lose someone you love like I did to a terrible disease and then be accused by ignorant and misinformed people of causing her death. If you're really writing a truthful story, dig deeper and please do some good by raising awareness for mental health. So obviously the whole thing falls on mental health. He nowhere in this statement, if it was me, I'm saying if this was me, I would say explicitly, I had nothing to do this. I did not commit this crime. Nowhere in this statement does it read in that way. Nowhere. There was a word. Oh, the first line, when Ellen took her own life, it left me bewildered. Tell me one 40-year-old guy who would write a statement with the word bewildered in it. And if you can find that person, I'd be curious. And they can't live in the UK because they speak proper good English, but a Jersey guy, Philly guys are not using the word or the phrase, it left me bewildered. The other thing that's really important that I just want to get to real quick, Josh Shapiro is the current governor.
I got to interrupt. Many Philadelphia guys would use the words bewildered. Go on, though.
Really?
I mean, I got to stand up for my for the city of brotherly love.
I'd be curious to have a poll taken about that, what people think, but I would never. I mean, I'm very. Don't get me wrong. I'm very in touch with my, my soft side. Let's put it that way. But I'm not using the word. It's just not a word I would use. Anyway, Josh Shapiro is the current governor. He was the attorney general. After this happened, and you guys can connect the dots. James Schwartzman is in his 80s, this lawyer. Josh Shapiro and James Schwartzman's daughter went to the same Jewish day school in Pennsylvania. So he knows the family. He was a state rep before that, and the Schwartzmans were prominent donors to all of his campaigns, starting way back when, through attorney general, through right now, the current governorship. There's a lot of weird connections. Brian Enton of News Nation, kudos to him, just confronted the governor. The governor gave probably the worst response I've ever seen, filled with either intentional untruths or unintentional mistruths. And it was sad to watch. And he himself, the governor, knowing this has never been investigated, in that statement, public statement at a press conference for something completely different, said that all the evidence still points to a self-unaliving. And this was after the medical examiner said, no, it doesn't. Something is not adding up. I no offense, Ali, but I say it's always shady in Philadelphia. It is a city known for corruption. The people are great. The city's
I definitely agree that there's, corruption in all, most big cities, local government and police forces and all of those things. I was just in fun sticking up for the fact that,
and by the way, the longtime DA, Larry Krasner, is also in that circle. So he's the Philadelphia DA. He's in the Shapiro, Schwartzman. They're all going to come and sue me. Bob, you better still have that license.
I'm always active, dude. You kidding me?
All right, good. So
hey, look, man, I use bewildered.
He's got to go. He's got two.
I know he does. I know he's got his own live.
Do you use Bewildered, Bob?
I've used, I'm a bit of a wordsmith. I write my scripts. So,
I think it's fair to say that someone else wrote his. I don't think innocent or guilty. I don't think it's unusual that a third party wrote that statement for him.
He's going to his people.
Right.
And he's like, all right, like
I want to write something for CNN.
I should make a statement. And they're like, okay, well, you're not going to write it. We're going to have somebody write it up for you. It's going to be carefully penned, and then you're just going to read it. That's
and by the way, often Fared, who's saying it's a fine word, but not for this context. I agree. Also, the Greenbergs were in contact with Sam Goldberg, and there was a point in time when he was starting to catch some heat, and he just stopped talking to the Greenbergs. So they've had no contact. And look, Bob said it best. If this was my kid and it's 14 years later, I would be losing my mind. And the fact that they're taking it as well as they are is amazing. I would not. So.
Well, thanks for your time, Joel.
Yeah, we love you, man. Go do work over on your channel.
Please say hello to your wife from us.
Yeah, I sure will. And then we need to get you back on STS very soon, as in this week or next week. So let's do it.
Absolutely. We love you, man. Thanks for all the intel. It's a great hang.
All right, man. Thank you. Talk to you guys soon. Appreciate it. Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye. I don't know. To me, this door thing didn't happen like this. To me, if this this is
only one way. There's like multiple. You can do it with
my working theory. And again, it's just if it could have been this person, how could it have happened? Pontificating, theorizing. It's if you're packing to leave, you lock the door. There's the fight happens. He breaks in before the unaliving and then pretends that it was broken after the unaliving. I just don't know about this Google searching for this whole thing. And well,
no, this isn't at the time, or it could be. I mean, like what I'm saying is this could have happened at 3 p.m, and he had it like an hour to sit there and try to shit out. And I mean that's why it would have helped to get his cell phone.
Well, let's see how they do it from the outside. If that string needs to already be on, would it be hanging out? Let's see it.
Okay.
Hopefully you can hear me. I'm on the other side of the door, so I'm going to open this up, and suddenly it is locked. So I'm going to take my string here and fish it through. You need a little dexterity because you need to get your hands
recording for him.
So I'm just going to kind of fish it through here and then do the flossing technique on the lower part. And so I flossed it. I got it on the back or the bottom ball bearing. And so I kind of fish it out like that. And now I want to take the door side or the opposite side and fish it back in through like that, okay? So I've got that, and then I'm gonna floss it from the top side, like that. So now the top string and the bottom string are securely held by those little ball bearings. And now if you have a really fat hand, this may not work. You may just get your fingers in here. Some people can get their entire hand through, but so small hands help. But what you want to do is just get the string looped on the back side of this bar, not the ball here, but the bar. And then I'm just going to pull the string just so it's tight. And then with the two ends, one up and one down, I'm just going to kind of pull this so it shuts. And hopefully I can open up this door.
Wow.
Hello.
Yeah. And I have
There you
to
go.
say, I'm just going to say it is also possible
And
that
there you
it is
go.
a
That is how you
technique that-
unlock a swing bar lock
Shut
with
it
a
off.
piece of string. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video.
I really enjoyed that video.
Yeah.
That was very
So I just would say now, if you live in a house where you're young, you come home late, you know, somebody could be sleeping, or, you know, like you're you know, that like that could have come up before as well, where they, you know, like kind of know this workaround if one of them's not answering the door and they're locked out. But I just still think if someone's packing, you know, I don't think, in my mind, this is not a thing that was constantly being addressed and manipulated from 3 until whenever, because you'd unpack the bags. You know what I mean? If you're like cleaning up the area, or you're doing something, you know, you'd probably get rid of, you know, rid of that.
What do you think what do you think the motive would be? I mean, is it enough that she's leaving him? That she's contemplating leaving him? That caused,
I mean,
like,
who knows what could be going on in someone's life?
very
But
controlling. Like, he was like, or like, I was watching another YouTube video on it today, and like they were talking about a lot of the friends were like, you know, she was a completely different person at some point after they got engaged. Like, she had to check in everything she was going to do. There's no,
yes, so
like,
the answer to your question is absolutely. In a situation, I'm not talking about this situation, but in a situation like that, where you've got that type of relationship, the control or domestic violence, as Joel said, the leaving is the most dangerous point, when someone thinks you are leaving them and they're losing all that control and whatever else. So, you know, that's when it happens. That's what it is. That's why I'm saying I don't, free radical says he's a man, right? True, but I just don't know.
I mean,
like,
does he come from the kind of family, if she's breaking off the engagement because she's saying he's abusive and controlling, and that like his family's that type where he can't have that kind of shit get out?
No, I honestly think you're underestimating just the nature of, and again, we're not talking about these people's relationship. We're talking about, you know, relationships that where there is
In general.
DV, and you've got someone that's controlling, and all those things, keeping you from family, and any of those things. The leaving alone is enough. Don't even look for anything else. You don't have to look for, you know, oh, is that going to upset his family? Is that going to do? He's losing, not him, not anyone we're talking about here, but in that relationship, the abuser is losing the person that they are live to control, basically, you know, and I believe that right there is absolutely enough. I don't know, like, if you're thinking, I just don't think we need to go off and think of other possibilities. But, you know, whatever happened here, if there were intruders, if there was someone there earlier, and that's
How could there
someone,
be intruder? Like, intruders are
intruders
almost
could have done the same thing. Intruders could have done that little
You would have
doodad.
caught them on video. Like, that's why I asked if there
yeah.
were videos in the hall, and there was a deck or a patio outside, but I think it was, I don't know that they were on the first floor. It looks like it was a multi-floor, maybe a 5-6 story building, you know, but there was fresh snow out there. There were no tracks in the snow, so
Right, I
nobody
forgot
came up
that
to the balcony.
right.
So, like, I mean, it's one of two things here. You know, I mean,
Do we know? I wish we had Joel back, or someone in the chat might know.
I'm going to get
Did
Gavin
he take
Fish
the
on.
shirt off? Did he unzip it? Because if he actually unzipped it,
Of course he didn't.
okay, because I you know,
He
she
was sitting there not touching her. Like he was sitting there the whole time just looking at her like, doing that phone call. We all heard it.
I just have to say, in my opinion, the first thought that comes to your mind when you see if you walk in and I see anyone stabbed is, oh my, she's been stabbed. Not she stabbed herself, not she fell. Oh my, she's been stabbed. I'm not like thinking the door was locked, she's only been in here alone, she had to stab herself, like all that quickly. I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's been stabbed. And then maybe I'd be like, but how? You know what I mean? I'm not right then and there thinking she stabbed herself, she fell on a knife, and I wish, without knowing what the crime scene looked like, if they took any pictures, this head wound looks like it would have been bleeding a lot. Gushing.
Right.
So,
any head wound,
how would he not be saying, when she's saying, where's the blood coming from? There's a pool of blood at her head. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And there's a whole thing that we didn't bring up about the fact that she apparently has this white kitchen towel in her hand that had 0 blood on it, which is, I don't know how that happens.
Right.
I don't know how.
And
yeah, we know, Bex. It was the main one. Like, Bex, I don't know if you're late. We played the 911 call. That's what we're talking about. To me, it's 2 minutes and 11 seconds in before he's like, "Oh my God, she stabbed herself."
Oh gosh, yeah. It was.
Like you see that as soon as you walk in, like, whether she's lying on the floor or sitting up. Either way, you immediately see that there is a knife buried into her chest. It's like no one can convince me otherwise. And like this gap in time is crazy to me. Talk about gaps in time. Like the gap in time is one of the things that got Julie Beverly convicted.
That baffles the hell out of me. But I'd like to know, what time was the 911 call?
I think Julie Frew had it up. Julie said 911 call was at 6:31.
6:31. And the text to the father was at 6:14. The uncle or whatever.
All to the uncles at 6:14.
Huh.
So he claims that he got up to the apartment at, I think it was like just after 6.
But then went back down and said the door is locked, and then came back up and then broke in. Is that part of the half hour? That's what I'm
see, because here's the part that's weird to me. In addition to that, is like he says he goes to the gym from 4 to 4:30. So I don't know. Like, where's the other 2 hours? Does anybody know? I'm going to get Gavin on here. Gavin knows all the facts forwards and backwards. And like, I don't know. Did you meet him? Well, you weren't hanging at the table.
I do remember the guy sitting next to you.
You are right.
You were at the end, right? There was only
no. I had people on my left and my right, both.
Oh, but I do remember talking to the guy to the right of you.
Yeah, Gavin, super
but
nice guy.
I didn't know. We talked about his kids. We talked about some other things, but we didn't talk.
Yeah, I started talking to him about
business.
Lab, so.
We didn't talk shop.
I did. I got his digits. I got his number. So
and I just didn't like I didn't like Joel demeaning all of the population of Philadelphia. It was fine if he's like, what 40-year-old in the world?
It was just Philadelphia men. Get it right.
Okay, but still, Ben and Erica lived in Philadelphia. Like a lot of educated.
All right, I'm going to text Ben right now. Would you ever use the word bewildered?
Okay, but no, I don't think anyone would use it to describe that situation. And I think it goes without saying, whether, regardless of his role or lack of role, that someone else most likely wrote that statement. It would not be strange. So I was just taking issue with the fact when it got to like, well, no one in Philadelphia would use that word, because there are a ton of educated, professional Philadelphians. Like,
I don't think it was an education level. I think it was a man thing. Like, I think that Joel like fancies bewildered is kind of a feminine type word. Maybe
that's even worse.
Well, right. But I think that's in the context of what he was talking about. Bewildered is the worst. Like,
and I love Joel. I was just
mortified is a word. Like, just like mortified is the word
no,
you used there.
Perplexed. He's saying bewildered, perplexed, like couldn't understand how she could have unalived herself.
Word for that, mortified. Like you walk in and I like mortified is the word.
Well, yes, but I think
not
they were trying.
Not puzzled.
I think they were trying to convey struggling with the concept of how she could have inflicted those injuries on herself. Yet he didn't struggle with it for a second when it was the first thing he threw out there.
Don't worry, we know.
I love Joel. I was just again sticking up for all of Philadelphia because I felt the need to.
It's a Philly girl. So all right, I threw the. There's
the suburbs can be Philly the way we're Chicagoans, but Bob and I did actually work in Philadelphia.
Yeah, man. Center City, Walnut Street, baby.
Yeah,
1518 Walnut Street. That was our office address down there.
Yep.
So I threw in the chat. There's a change.org petition that's out there. It's got 166,000 signatures on it. I mean, the family needs, like, we wanted to cover this because it needs voices. And Allison and I are pretty loud.
They need to investigate. If they've got the weapon, take some fingerprints. Although that's going to be hard because he lives there as well. Obviously too late to do any testing with the door. It's I think Philadelphia butchered this and there's no unbutchering it. As hard as it is to say that, I feel like this family can never get justice at this point.
I know.
They didn't take a statement when they
who knows process the crime scene.
Yeah.
More than anything else. They didn't
because they're, you look at the lock, could it have broken this way? Is there a string in it? Like, I don't know that would be any evidence of that, but like the knocking down of the cutting board. If you're saying she was making fruit salad without a cutting board though? Cause that I don't get.
I don't, who said anything about a cutting board?
What? I thought we had a discussion about something got knocked over or a cutting board.
The knife block.
Oh, the knife block. Right. So that right there, I believe is maybe not sign of a struggle, but sign of something
hurried.
Yes. You're not like, and I wonder what the stats are.
That was my point of bringing it up. It's like, that's clearly something that happens in the midst of something crazy going on, So, all right. Tomorrow. So you guys get involved with this one. It needs voices out there. I like Joel, I don't care what the numbers are on this thing. It's not about that at all. This is something that when I started listening to more and more about this case, I felt so much empathy for those two parents that are fighting so hard for their daughter.
Just for the first instinct to be, yep, looks like that she unalived herself is just absurd with those. That's the part that makes your head explode. Like there couldn't have been a less likely unaliving scenario. I mean, self-unaliving scenario from that. Do you know if the autopsy had, so Kraken's asking, do you know if the autopsy had any of the hyoid areas broken? Yeah, we know nothing. We know nothing.
No, but what I am going to do, I will get Gavin Fish on. He'll come, he'll hang with us. He'll give us all the deets so we can, and he'll be able to answer all of our questions. You know what I mean? So, all right, tomorrow I'm vastly, I was going to have Stacey Aldridge on tomorrow in the afternoon. So Stacey Aldridge is the phone data expert for the defense in the Richard Allen case. She's agreed to come on to the show. I think it's going to be a great live. I'm not going to do it tomorrow. I know there's going to be a lot of people that have questions. She's going to limit to what she can talk about to what she talked about at trial, but that's a lot. Like that, there's a lot there. So I'm really looking forward to that. So look forward to that next week. I'm also trying to get Kirk Nurmi lined up. I most likely Josh has agreed to come on 2 times a month. So We're going to be having Josh Schiffer on a couple times a month. And we're going to lock it in so that it's a constant thing because we love him. He's awesome. And if you don't know who he is, go back and watch that live. That live's not getting nearly as much traction as it should because it was a great live because Josh is hilarious and brilliant, both of those things. So, but you're going to get to know him a lot and you're going to love him because he's going to be a pretty consistent guest over here. But tomorrow, so if I'm not going to do Aldridge, we love our Felonious Fridays where I can kind of go through. I am not abandoning the Mullis case. Like I'm not doing, I want to watch that. I watched some of it today. Yesterday, because of Reed, we had to dip on it. We're now 2 days behind on it. I'm going to try to figure out tomorrow. I might end up streaming it out of order. I don't know if I'll be able to suck Allie in for the whole day of it, but that thing just fascinates me. So I'm thinking that maybe we'll watch Mullis tomorrow. Plus, I like it because it's my time. It's Central. I don't have to do that crazy 8 in the morning.
Did you answer Tracy's
What did she ask?
Walsh schedule?
Oh, Walsh. What time's Walsh? Trace, do we know what is up on that case? Like, is it status or is there a substantive motion that's going?
All right, while you're waiting for her to answer that, thank you for your generosity, Lisa. And the family members, I think, typically have the right to hire a private medic to get a private autopsy, a private medical examination. It's not the easiest thing. You've got to have money. You know, I don't know what the process is. It might be different from state to state, but you know, it's like as soon as you're doing that, it's like you're kind of in opposition with the criminal investigation with law enforcement. It's not easy. I've had it come up in other issues, and it's not something that we've ever had to do in our practice. So I don't know how easy it is, but I don't think it's something that you need to file a motion for.
Well,
but
it depends on the situation. If it's a criminal investigation, then you're going to have to get into court, and you're going to have like in this particular situation, the Greenbergs are a nice Jewish family. Jewish families typically, when somebody passes away, they want to get the body in the ground pretty quickly. There's no like long delays on that. So they ended up, I think, having to exhume the body for their own ME to do their own autopsy. I don't think that their medical examiner was just looking at the examination that the first one did. I could be wrong on that. I don't know, but I'm under, like, I mean, I know that these folks have gone through hell trying to get this thing, like trying to get ears and eyes on it and trying to do everything that they can to get as much information as they can after this entire, oh shit. Thank you, Oasis. I appreciate that. I kept thinking tomorrow was Friday. So tomorrow I take it back completely. Tomorrow it's Lively Baldini night. And
wait, I thought we were doing Walsh on Thursday or something on Thursday at 1.
That's Thursday is Walsh.
Right, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, but then we're having Lauren Conlon on to talk, give us all the deets about Lively Baldini. Do you even know anything about that?
No, I don't. And before you tell me, I wanted to thank Idiot Wind for her generosity. We did put that your comment up while Joel was still with us. You know, and it's just, I guess it's frustrating when you get low numbers on something you're really working hard to get eyes on, you know. And then Lisa, did we address the biggest question? Murderers are murderers, but how does a medical examiner get away with this kind of conduct? But how does it's you know, the pressure, people just don't realize how much pressure police, local government can put even on a medical examiner to, you know, to make a certain finding. And it's just kind of crazy. Thanks, JD, for your generosity. I'm with you, Allie. It's just unnecessary to hang your hat bewildered as a piece of evidence. I love words and get annoyed with people assuming what I might say. So what is Baldini? Baldoni.
It's a Baldoni Lively. It's a couple of actors / directors / producers that are in the midst of it. So she basically filed civil suit born out of her playing this role in this movie where she's basically saying that he was sexually harassing her.
I did hear something.
And then he countersued. So it's a big kind of like privileged, wealthy nightmare battle between actors. Because but what's interesting to me about it is the aspect that, you know, you've got this thing where you've got acting going on. Like dude's wife was on the set, Baldini's wife was on the set, you know, and she's taking like exception, like, and they go through this like training, you know, in terms of like, you know, you'd always watch movies and like, how do they fall in love with each other when they're making out on screen and they're rubbing parts and all that shit. So it's like that kind of that concept of it. Like, I think we're moving closer and closer to AI. Just there's not going to be actors anymore. Just avoid these kind of lawsuits altogether. Just have fake images of people, robot images of like people, you know, whatever. So it'll be interesting. It's
I mean, soon. Fact is, soon they won't need actors.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Intimacy training. Thank you. That's exactly what they call it. So Lauren's going to give us all Baldoni. Thanks for that. Proves how very little I know about this case. So that's why we're bringing Lauren on, because she knows all the deets. Like she loves. I mean, she's you know, what is she? Pop crime TV. Like, I mean, she loves pop crime. Like, so that's right up her alley. So yeah, that'll be tomorrow at 7. And then like if I'm going to do the Mullis thing, I'm going to start it on time tomorrow. And then I'm not overly concerned with the order in which we watch it, because we can go back and watch the last 2 days, like out of order. You know what I mean? It's like witnesses. It's not going to matter to us in terms of seeing the witnesses. We just want to hear the information. So, but I'll let you all know, but for sure, Lauren Conlon's on 7:00 Central Standard Time, and we're going to be covering the wall shearing, I think, and that's 1 hour time. So keep your eyes out for those. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment in the chat, comment if you're replay crew. It really helps get us in the algorithm, which really helps grow the show. So
thanks mods, thanks subscribers, thanks members, and thanks everyone else, especially if you click the thumbs up like.
Yes, we love you guys so much. Oh wait, and I forgot there was, and I don't even know if they're in the crowd today, but I did get I got a Venmo, which I love so much. Susie R sent me a $20 Venmo. And that was a few days ago, so I'm way late on it. I wanted to thank her for that.
Hopefully, next we see her in here, someone lets her know or reminds us to thank her again.
Yeah, and I don't even know what her screen. Like, I like when people, if you're going to ever Venmo us, make sure you put your screen name in there so that we can properly
handle.
Your handle without like doxing you if you don't want to give out your real name. So just make sure.
Ellen's petition is there. Gavin's website's there for more information for you guys to look into this. It's a crazy case. And thanks again.
Yep. We love you guys, because without you, I'd just be an old man.
Talking all day long. Boop.